Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to say all protocol observed. I would want to take you through a presentation that I have, and the presentation is going to be Success, Zimbabwe Expanding Reach and Impact. Allow me to just share my screen. So my name is Lodrina Zimbabwe. And I am part of the Women in Engineering chapter here in Zimbabwe. To just give a picture and background of the events that actually took place, we had an Ask an Engineer Go Eng program and a fellowship program that were part of the Africa Catalyst program that ran in June 2019. And this took place in Gweru, which happens to be central to the province of Midlands. And you'll also find to some aspect also central in terms of Zimbabwe itself. So you find that there are 10 provinces in all that cover Zimbabwe, and the Women in Engineering Zimbabwe chapter has chapters or sub-chapters, should I say, that fall under it. So in each province, we are having representatives who actually answer back to the main national chapter. So the Ask an Engineer Girl Eng program and the fellowship program happened more or less the same time in terms of the same week in June 2019. And I'm just going to do a brief and quick presentation in terms of what has occurred since then. So you'll find that after that the fellowship and also Ask an Engineer Go Eng program, we've had a number of great things that have come out of it. We've had university and college students sharing their experiences with peers, and this has inspired and generated more interest and participation from student members within our Women in Engineering chapter. We've also had a scenario where the university and college students have returned home to their various provinces and also have began mentorship sessions with their high schools. Some students who are graduating this year have gone on to start online platforms to actively engage with mentors. And what one can say is one can actually see that the level of activity in some provinces have actually picked up, especially within Midlands, where before the programs were done in Gweru, the Midlands Women in Engineering activities were not as pronounced as they are now. So what you find is over the past 3 years, 2018, 2019, and 2020, we've actually have had career guidance activities that have increased with a lot of chapters within a lot of chapters. And you actually even have some chapters producing pamphlets that they share with students, and they're sharing the choices they've made in engineering and the journeys that they've taken in when they participate in activities. So there in the picture, you actually find on your, I think, right, you have a lady who was actually participating in a community building activity of planting trees, and on the left you have a career guidance session that was taking place, and this was being done by students who had been involved in the fellowship program that took place in Gweru. You'll find that mentor visibility has also increased, and we have had more high schools, teachers and high schoolers reaching out and wanting to know more about engineering. And we're talking not just girls, but even boys as well. And then there's also been an overall, growth in the acceptance of women in engineering in terms of how they grow. So what you see there was actually something that happened now, 2020, during the COVID period. We actually had the Midlands chapter really stepping up and following up on the Girl Inch program and asking, they've actually started a WhatsApp program for career guidance. And they're really asking for contributions from, within the chapter of Women in Engineering to answer to, the questions that are being raised. So WhatsApp has actually been used as a really main platform to try and continue disseminating information and continue to create visibility amongst us all. Other outcomes that have come out of the program have been really related to the Pink Helmet campaign. It generated a lot of interest and had a number of chapters coming forward to participate. Some, universities took it upon themselves to give pink helmets to their graduating female students. And some of these students, they're not necessarily graduating also, but there are some who have just participated in Women in Engineering outreaches who were also given pink helmets. And this has resulted in a keenness to give back, with some university students going on to do their own mentorship in their respective high schools and pass on those hats. So it's really touching to see that. And then some participants of the fellowship program have actually gone on to launch blogs and write books to continue to spread the message of encouraging girls and women in engineering. So you'll have, some of our engineers, doing like the Tech Girl Diaries or writing blogs in terms of the role of women in engineering. And it's really exciting to see that. And even career mentorship programs that they're trying to run online in order to, get a lot of impact spreading. In terms of learning points, a lot of team building has occurred as a result of this. So what you see in the image there was recognition that was now actually coming from the Zimbabwe Institution of Engineers for the women in engineering. And particularly of note was, the activities that were transpiring across the various chapters. We actually, during the course of these last 3 years, managed to reactivate the chapter for Mutare, which saw a number of students coming forward and participating in that particular event. And we also had a number of engineers and technicians who came through as well. So there's been a lot of team building that has resulted as a result of these programs. And as our activities are voluntary, we've had more women coming forward and stepping up to contribute and participate in our activities. Volunteer work is very hard though, as there's always a need to balance with work commitments, family commitments, religious commitments, etc. And hopefully we will continue to see more people coming forward and stepping up to avoid burnout from our volunteers who are already there within our chapters. What is great to see is in some of the career guidance efforts that have been made, you have even the male students coming forward and asking to join, and you also see them wearing the pink helmets as well. So there's also that collaborative effort. And, when students are seeing both male and female students coming up and talking about engineering, it's really exciting to see them relating very well. We've also learned that network is very important. The network itself of women. We have had the network before, but as a result of this Catalyst program, we actually have a more solidified and combined approach in terms of our experts in industry, universities, and polytechnics, who are now giving recommendations and advice on the different pathways that girls and women can take in engineering. And there's a lot of support for each other in terms of our endeavors, and it goes a long way, that support. And we've also learned to celebrate when an activity goes well in a particular chapter or in a particular province or in a particular university that is focused in terms of spreading the impact for women and girls in engineering. Last but not least is the aspect of leadership. We've actually, as a chapter, broken down the national chapter into the sub chapters, as I mentioned, and you have a number of people who have stepped into those leadership roles. And this has led, to recognition and support of these women in their work from their organizations, and has also increased their visibility in their impact and in their focus and in their drive in the various activities that they're trying to accomplish. And we are certainly hoping that this will continue to lend to added cooperation from various stakeholders and lead to establishment of corporate partners and supporters for our activities. So that is, in brief, what I can say is happening, or has happened, in terms of our women in engineering efforts as a result of the Africa Catalyst program. We sincerely hope that, especially as a result of the workshops that took place, the leadership workshops, where our different representatives were exposed, this will continue to, have that effect. And one thing that we are loving most is where when one woman is empowered, she goes on and then shares further with her community wherever she is. And we're certainly hoping that that continues to make an effort. We've seen the efforts being made by our women in terms of online, they're active on their WhatsApp platforms. They're also active in terms of blogs. They're active in terms of getting the message out there, and seeing that impact, seeing the different efforts that are being made has really made us as women in engineering in Zimbabwe really excited. With that, I thank you so much for listening to my presentation.